Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start today with a very poignant thought. And it's something I think of every day now for the past 2 years. We, in this room and in countries all over the world, are the perpetrators and the victims of our times. And let me explain that with a visual. If you've read today's paper, it's the Bangalore Mirror. It has a line which says, "This is where the government wants to dump the poor, in the trash." And this is a very, very scary image, because by the year 2030, India will need a Bangalore for landfills. By the year 2050, India will need a New Delhi for a landfill. Guess what's going to happen in the next 20 years after that? And this is true of our country, of a lot of developing nations, and of some developed nations. And the apathy lies in us and everyone around us. We can't point fingers at any one segment for sitting in silence and doing nothing about it. I want to table some more data because I love data. In the year 1973, Bangalore had 48,650 hectares of vegetation and 5,683 hectares of grey area, which is built up area. Move forward into 2017, which was last year. Bangalore had 4,603 hectares of green area and 56,000 hectares of grey constructed area. Garden City is now a grey city. And this has ramifications on each one of us. In 1973, it basically meant that 7.9% of Bangalore was under construction, and in 2017, 78.7% is under construction or grey area. I table one more data point. In 1973, we had 207 lakes in Bangalore, covering 2,324 hectares. In 2013, the number of lakes came down to 93, and the area covered was 446 hectares. Will large companies do something about this? I don't think so. And the reason for that is they are caught up in their own journeys. They have their own profit and loss statements to manage. They have their own expertise, and they're not going to put forth money in ventures, large sums of money in ventures, which may or may not yield returns. Another very interesting data point for India is that I have a daughter, and I have 2 other kids who are like my daughters. And I realized that a lot of them are suffering from acne and from a very serious deficiency called the polycystic ovary syndrome, which basically leads to infertility. And 5 years back, I dug deep and I realized that that's to do with the poison that's infecting all of us by the water we consume and the fruits we eat. A grape contains 32 insecticides the minute it comes into your house. A strawberry has 14. A potato has 30. I wash all my vegetables and fruits at home in potassium permanganate because it doesn't leave a taste. Normally people do it in salt. Now this is all a ramification of the times we live in and the way we live. The only solution to this is startups. Entrepreneurs who are passionate, who are dedicated, and who are devoting their life to create sustainability for our country, for our ecosystem, and for themselves. The sad part is that many large companies do not support them. I'm happy to say that 3 years back, the chairman of the Brigade Group, Mr. Jayashankar, and his daughter Nirupa actually reached out to me and said, can we create an ecosystem where we bring in the expertise, the knowledge, and the wherewithal that the Brigade Group has to identify and mentor startups who are very early on, but could, through what they're doing, through interventions, actually make an impact on the real estate industry and life in general. So over the past 24 months, we have mentored a startup called Brigade. Another problem I didn't tell you was that when I moved to Whitefield 20 years back, groundwater bore wells were at 200 feet. Today, bore wells in Whitefield are at 1800 feet. Sharjapur, any of you live in Sharjapur? None of you live in Sharjapur, you're lucky, is running dry. And Brigade, through sensors, actually creates accountability for every resident living in an apartment, and through 30,000 sensors over 18 months has saved 75 million liters of water. Nobody wants to fund them. We have mentored them, and now they have reached a scale where they are fundable. We have helped them morph their model from a CapEx model to a SaaS model. So now a 2-bedroom apartment in Bangalore can put in sensors at 150 rupees a month. Earlier it was 15,000 rupees a month. That's the kind of interventions we bring in. We mentor another company called EcoSTP, very interesting company. They, through anaerobic bacteria, through the learnings from the process within a cow's stomach, have created STP solutions that need zero power, minimal maintenance, does not need scavengers to get into the ground, so you save lives. And the best of all, they allow a real estate community to actually use the land on top of their STPs for selling as car parks or for landscaping. We are working with Smarter Dharma, and you will hear Smarter Dharma Sriram talk later in the session on helping the real estate fraternity create sustainable into startups. Don't raise money. It's not worth the effort. I'll tell you why. Create a great product that solves a pressing need, show monetization, the money will chase you. Don't do the other way around. Don't chase money, because wrong investor, your journey will go down the dump. Create a great product, create scalability, create monetization, solve problems that people have, and money will find its way. So I'll take names. I mentored a youngster who was 19 when he came to me, called Ritesh Agarwal. How many of you have heard of Oyo Rooms? So Ritesh started with a company called Aureval. He was solving a basic problem of a paucity of rooms and a large number of travelers who could not afford hotels. They needed basic living, and he went and aggregated rooms from hotels in tier 2, tier 3 cities, and now has raised $600 million. Ritesh did not have money for auto fare. And today, he's got a couple of thousand people working with him. SoftBank has put money in, and he's disrupted the entire hotel ecosystem in this country. So that's a classic case. Brigade is another case of revenues of $1 million. $1 million. And he's profitable. And nobody wants to fund him because they are questioning whether this will work or not. The man has been in his journey for 3 years. He's profitable. And instead of supporting him, they're questioning, and that, I guess, is a venture capital's job to do, where they will get the exits. So we've told Brigade, don't go after VC money, go after strategic money. Go after Jindal pipes, put in sensors into their pipes, and hey, you create smart pipes. So there is money to be had, but don't go chasing the wrong kind of money. There are enough. So we have some mantras in Brigade Reap, and one of the first mantras is create must-have solutions, don't create good-to-have solutions. We had a young kid of 21 come to us with an application where from his application you take a photograph of a line drawing and in 30 seconds he gives you an elevation. We loved the kid, we said sweet boy, but the product won't work, nobody's going to pay you for it. It was a good-to-have solution. Over 1 year he's morphed into a product where from a drawing he will now give you in 30 minutes 3D quality blueprint, BOQs, plugged into BIM, he will give you estimation, everything. I am standing here and putting my reputation on the line by saying that he will revolutionize AutoCAD. That's, when he came in, it was a good to have solution. It's now a must have. He's got 1,000 people as a pilot. He's got funding from one of the best known VCs that you can think of. I don't want to talk about it. But come to us, don't come to us with an idea because we do not have the bandwidth to take ideas into products. Come to us with a product which is not scaling. And a benchmark for scale is if you're not growing at least 15% month on month, you need acceleration. We are not an incubator. So we have Smarter Dharma here, and they're in revenue, they're doing a good job, and we are working with them to help them take a consulting solution into a product. And Sriram will talk to you at a later stage on how we're helping them. It's your company. We will just bring in interventions. We will hard hit you with questions. We will go for site visits with you. We will go for customer visits with you. And one of the biggest learnings for us is that when a startup goes for a customer visit, if a customer rejects him, and this is a very interesting insight, if a customer rejects him, and 9 out of 10 customers will reject the startup will never ask the customer who said no, why he said no. If you take the no and you address that with a solution, he becomes your evangelist. And that's one of the tricks we do to figure out what is the must-have that your product must have to take it to the next level. So we work with startups who have a product, who have some traction, who are stuck for growth. That's why we are an accelerator and not an incubator, and we will help you take to the next level. So incubators are organizations who take ideas, sit with you. The gestation period from an idea to product could be as long as a year, and the interventions are very, very different because from an idea you need validation if the idea is worth it. From the validation you need to understand what are the proponents of the product story, or if it's a service, what are those? An accelerator is basically working with startups who've got an idea, got a POC or a proof of concept, has some traction, unable to scale to the next level, and then look at, in acceleration, our job is very easy. We need to understand just two things. What are the choke points which are actually stifling your growth, and what are the levers to engage to give you that growth? In an incubator, you have far deeper interventions, but the end stage for an incubator is to get a product out. The end stage for an accelerator is to make sure you build a scalable business. We had a company called QuickSpec which came to us at 100, if he was earning 1 rupee when he came to us in 2016 October, today he's earning 15. So he's done a 15x growth in 1.5 years. When he left our accelerator, he had done a 6x growth. So accelerator is about accelerating your growth. Sectors that impact the construction and real estate fraternity in India, there are basically 5, but we've opened that and I'll tell you why. We work in IoT. So smart cities is a buzzword. We believe smart communities are a better way to make an entry. We work on nanotechnology because nanotechnology, nanomembranes are, for example, this building has got millions of square feet of glass. Can I take light from here and convert to energy to power at least emergency lighting? So nanomembranes and nanotech is an area. We work on logistics and supply chain. We work on visual computing. And last batch, we got 2 very interesting startups focusing on big data for real estate. And Brigade has worked with them, and they said that decision making becomes so much easier for them when you have big data. And we're working with big data not just from external, but we're working with big data in buildings. So there are companies in the last batch called Synconext, which are working on big data from the energy that has been consumed in a building. So these are the 5